welcome to my channel. I'm Julia Keller, Transformational Love Coach for Women, and this is the section when we do questions from you that we answer. So we have questions coming in on Twitter, we have questions coming in on Facebook, we have questions coming in privately, message to us on juliakellercoaching@gmail.com. We have questions coming in from our website, juliakeller.co.uk, and questions coming in during our workshops, which we have launched our workshop series. And this week, we're doing something different, something maybe a little bit risque, but I'm going to go there anyway because it's a very important thing. So I've had, over the past probably couple of months, and since I've been doing one-to-one coaching with my clients, I have clients who, at one point or other, they kind of brace me aside and they say, "Can I ask you this question about sex?" And everybody's like, "Am I allowed to ask you about this? Do you, and they look at me like, am I comfortable answering it?" Yes, I'm very comfortable answering all of your questions. Intimacy is a very, very important part of love. And as a love coach, this is an area that we have to broach. It's basically a very main thing in a relationship. So today we're going to answer your questions about sex. SEX, for those of you who have little kids. Haven't been intimate for a while. What's the protocol about hair down there? So it's better to be clean, and it's also, if you want him going down there, you want to make it attractive for him to go down there. And if you want him to do the right things and hit the right points, you need to have it so he can see what he's doing. And let's be honest, it's a lot easier. The more he sees, the more he knows exactly where to touch and where to kiss and whatever it is. So you want to make it as easy as possible. Plus, you want to make it as appealing as possible for him. The best thing to do, therefore, if you're not too squeamish and you're not too shy, you can go and get waxed. I mean, places like tanning salon these days do waxing. Everywhere out there they do waxing, and the women there are used to seeing other women and waxing them on a regular basis. So there's nothing you have to be squeamish about. If you're not comfortable with somebody seeing you there and doing that for you, you can go and do that by yourself. You can just grab a razor and shave, and just keep it cleaned up on a regular basis. The main thing is, if you can remove as much as you want, but the point is to be as clean as you can down there, because if you want them going there, you want to make it appealing. With my boyfriend, sex is very vanilla, but I want to spice things up. How do I do that? So one thing you have to keep in mind before I even answer the question is that men's egos are very fragile. If you think that your ego is fragile, think about the man as 10 times more fragile than you, especially in the bedroom. Things in the bedroom is something that the man really equates with his masculinity. So anytime you bring anything up about changing sex, you have to bring it up very gently, keeping his ego in mind. Now, the best thing is to do it in two different ways. One is you can talk to him about it, like talk to him about it when you're in a kind of intimate moment between you, but not in bed. So what I mean is, you're sitting and you're having a nice chat, and you can kind of like whisper in his ear and say, "You know what, I loved what we did last week. I have this fantasy. I would love for you to try something like this." And you kind of bring it up to him gently. That's one way to do it. And you kind of like whisper in his ear, and you make him interested in doing this for you. So it's something like, "I'd love to do this with you. I'd love to explore. What do you think about exploring?" And you have that discussion, but in a very flirty, sensual way, where you address it in a way that in no way can possibly damage his ego. You have to be very, very, very you have to be very aware of the fact that he can easily, if you bring it up in the wrong way, he can easily be turned off. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever you ask him, you turn him on in the process. So you kind of say to him, "Honey, I would love to try this with you." The other way to do it is while you're in the bedroom. Let's say he's doing something, and you can say something like, "Oh, what are you going to do? Like, what do you want to do with me?" And then you can say, "Oh, I love, and then he says, and then you say, "Oh, I love that. How about also this?" And you kind of direct him by your words, and you sort of make it into a fantasy that he's playing into. Additionally, you can move his hands, and through your sounds, guide him to what you like. That is the best way to start. And then you can kind of gradually be more and more risque. Let's say you want to add a big risque element. Let's say you want to be blindfolded. That's something where you can say to him when you're sitting, let's say you're sitting for a coffee and you're having a nice tea together, and you say something to him like, and you're broach us. You're talking about whatever. You're talking about the news, and then kind of you move into more interesting topics of the bedroom, and you kind of broach into, one thing I really would love to try with you is, and you sort of make it into like a game. Why don't we try this game together? The other thing is, if you want to bring something like toys into the bedroom, because maybe that's what you need. And by the way, just to be very comfortable with that, I read a statistic that I think something like 80 or 90% of women cannot reach orgasm without stimulation on down there, as well as having him inside. So that's something that you need to make sure that if you bring something like that into the bedroom, you need to do it in a way that keeps his ego intact. So you want to make sure that you tell him, you turn me on so much. I'd love to play with this with you. So it's something that you're bringing in for the two of you, and make sure that the whole step of the way that you're showing him that what excites him isn't the toy, but is him. All of these are things to consider. One thing for sure is not to give up on sex, not, to make sure that you keep that as an important part of your relationship, because it is extremely important to connect the two of you. Otherwise, if you don't have intimacy, what you basically are friends, and that's not what you want from your partner, especially a long-term partner. You want to make sure that stays alive and that stays exciting and interesting with you. You also might want to spice things up. So any other questions about that, please do contact me. This is something I work with women on a regular basis about. Anything to do with love and relationships and dating, and sex is part of that.